Welcome back, everybody. This is Bulldog here with another rule set guide. Sorry there's no live streams this week. I am on vacation. That's also why you don't see me on the screen, but I'm still working hard to bring you guys some content here. Today we're going to talk about the equal opportunity rule set and how you can take advantage of this to go get yourself some wins. So hopefully you guys know what opportunity is, but if not, opportunity allows you to target the monster on the other side with the lowest health. The lone exception to this is the monsters in the front will continue to attack the other monster in the front, but everybody else, everybody in the back line is going to target the lowest health monster. So equal opportunity is going to give this opportunity to every single character on the board. So a couple things that you guys might not know about opportunity is that it only factors in health. It does not consider armor. So if you have one monster that has 3 health and 7 armor, and another monster that has 4 health with 0 armor, the character with 3 health is going to be the one that gets attacked. So we'll actually be able to exploit this here, and that's a key strategy that we can use as we set up our teams. The other thing is that monsters are targeted in the order that they appear in the lineup if they have the same health. So if you have 2 characters that have 3 health each, the one that is closest to the front is going to be the one that gets targeted. And then third thing is that opportunity actually has a low priority as an ability. If you have somebody that has sneak, snipe, or reach, all of those are going to take preference over opportunity. So while there are exceptions, in general you want opportunity instead of sneak, snipe, or reach. So those characters might not actually be ideal to play in this with this rule set out there. So we're going to go through 4 different battles here and discuss some of the tactics I like to use in equal opportunity. But before we do that, I've got to tell you guys about Fighter Turtles Club and how you guys can actually enter to win some Chaos Packs. So Fighter Turtles Club are minting some NFTs on October 25th, and I'm going to get myself one. If you look on the screen here, you can see some of the possible turtles that you can get, and some of these resemble some of my favorite video game characters. So I'm going to get some of these. It's just a question of whether I go random and mint a random one and see what I can get, or if I try to buy some of these specific ones later on. They might be pretty expensive if you pull some of these that look like this one that resembles like Squirtle, for example. That one looks pretty cool. So if you guys go join their Discord, you can check them out, and I'm going to give away Chaos Packs on an upcoming stream based on the number of you guys that go join their server. So go join their server, verify yourself as human, check them out. Go over to my server, and if you go to the announcements, you can see details on how you can get double the chance to win some of those prizes if you go join their server. So absolutely go check them out. The first battle here is going to feature one of my favorite monsters that is one of the most underrated monsters in the game. He was at one point the cheapest card on the market that's not one of the new reward cards. Now I went and I had to max him out before I made this video, so I think I bumped up the price a little bit. But he was the cheapest card, and that is Chain Spinner there. Chain Spinner is so good in these battles because he has only 3 health but 10 armor, and then he has void armor, so you can't use magic to go underneath that armor and take him out. One of the key things I focus on when I'm building my team is who are the opposing monsters going to target? And Chain Spinner is a great way to basically have a virtual taunt. Now, on the bottom side, on my side, I went with an actual taunt with Shield Bearer, who is so good there because you're going to force opposing monsters to attack him. So that's going to protect some of your weaker monsters in the back. And then Chancius is a very good summoner. Both of these are very good summoners for this rule set because Chancius can revive, and then you're going to revive with all of that armor because we've got some monsters with a lot of armor here. Chancius works very well with Chain Spinner as well because, again, you can revive with all of that armor, and you can't hit underneath to use a magical attack to take off that health. You can use magic, though, against Shield Bearer, though. That's a very effective method. Magic, in particular, is going to be a very good attack choice because one of the ways to try and protect some of your weaker characters is to give them extra armor. Use Protect to get them some extra armor so maybe they can take a few extra hits. Magic is going to go right underneath that. And we'll see that in the next video as well. Lorna up top is a very good summoner because the first attack is going to be ignored. So some of these characters are kind of glass cannons. They can't take many attacks. It's going to be kind of easy to one-shot some of them. So having Lorna to basically cancel out that first hit can be very, very effective here. You can see this was a good battle. Goddess Love was able to beat me out with that chain spinner, and I went with the shatter because I was expecting a lot of armor. That's another good way. Piercing and shatter can be good ways to break through some of that armor as well. I tried to get through it. I kind of expected it, but I just didn't quite have enough. Goddess Love got me there. So let's move on to a silver level battle here. I know some of you complain when I show all the higher level monsters, but they just have more abilities, so I can get more things into a single battle. But let's look at how valuable that protect can be. That adds that extra layer of armor. You're going to see how good it can be, and you're also going to see how snipe can be detrimental. So if you look at up top, there's nothing protecting us from going right after those kind of glass cannons. And you're going to see on the bottom that extra 2 protection is able to allow Creeping Ooze to take a few extra hits when he normally wouldn't be able to. Now, Lobstradamus got that hit under the armor, so that was a perfect example of how hitting under the armor can be very effective. But up top, they had to go through some of that extra armor, and then you're trying to snipe the Jinn down there, and that just wasn't very effective. They weren't able to go right after the weakest characters, weren't able to get a bunch of one-shots in or something like that, and that made a huge difference in the battle, because on the bottom they were able to keep some of their attackers for a little bit longer, be able to do some extra damage and focus fire it. So that was a much more effective strategy there. Magic can be a very good option. Speed, when I'm looking at attackers, a lot of times I'm looking at speed and trying to get magic in there, because there just aren't a lot of low health characters or high attack characters that might be on the other side. They're going to get targeted first. There aren't a lot of them that have void or that have reflect, 2 of the magical counters. Now you can get void with Mimosa, so that can be a good option, but on the bottom, they did not go with any magical attack. Instead, they went with the Vigilator in the back as the main source of damage. Vigilator, and some of these characters that have 2 forms of attack, have melee plus range or melee plus magic, are very good here because they can use both at the same time, and that can be extremely effective. And then Vigilator has the double attack, so he's going to be able to get 4 attacks in, 2 melee, 2 range, chance to inflict poison on each of those, so it is very effective. Vigilator is extremely good here, extremely good. You see, we had some had 2 more taunting characters, because again, that is very effective with sneak, a very good way to protect some of your glass cannons there in the back. And then the extra speed from Kitty is just so big, because when you've got some of these glass cannons a little bit that can't take a lot of damage, if you go first, you can oftentimes take them out before they even move, and then they never get a chance to use their attacks at all. So if possible, if you have enough mana, you'd really like to get a lot of health in there, health on your attackers. So maybe instead of extremely high damage with a low health, go with some medium damage with medium health or something like that, so that you can survive a little longer. But a lot of times that's easier said than done. Now here we've got a lot of mana, we've got 40 mana, but sometimes you just don't have that much mana, and you need to make sure that either your attackers either can take a couple of hits, or they are super fast so they can get their attacks off first and deal a little bit of damage. So we saw Kitty win. Now we're going to see Kitty actually lose here, because we're going to show off Blast. Blast is super effective, and then Trample can be effective as well. You're going to see that here with Magnor. Magnor in the backline. Magnor under Yoden is just crazy good in this, because Blast is very effective because you're more likely to be targeting a monster in the middle. So you've got a good chance to spread out that blast damage amongst multiple characters. And then Trample is good because you're hitting some of those weaker characters, right? So you're more likely to get a Trample. And when you combine, it's like right here, you combine that blast plus Trample and you get multiple attacks in like that. Magnor also has the taunt, so he prevents the other side from targeting the middle of your lineup. Putting him in the back is a great option there. And then he gets that enrage once he does get targeted and just does insane damage. So Blast is very good. And that doesn't necessarily mean it has to come from Yod. And there are lots of monsters that do have Blast, but Yod in there combined with all those speed. You notice on the bottom I talked about how speed was important. Kitty gets the +2 speed, but they actually got a bigger bonus speed on the bottom with all of those characters, 3 different monsters adding +1 speed. So that was a great way to get some of those things in there. So just to kind of go back and summarize some of the things, I like to focus on trying to funnel attacks into the monsters that I want my opponent to attack, whether that's using a tank with a low health. Chain Spinner is a great option. Cockatrice is another very good option. We saw him used. Unfortunately, it was against a magic team, so he wasn't able to get his dodges in like he normally would. Using a taunt to force the other side to attack a specific monster is very effective. And then using protect to get some extra armor so that even some of your weaker monsters can take a few extra hits. From an attacking perspective, I like to go fast. I like to try to get blast in it if possible, and then go mainly with magic damage or something like piercing or shatter or things like that to try and counter some of the extra armor that you're more likely to see. And then also going with some of the attackers that can get attacks in that they normally wouldn't be able to, such as monsters with 2 types of attacks. Like we saw, Vigilator has melee and ranged. Having the double strike in there is just a cherry on top. Or things like we saw Hobgoblin in there, who is a high damage melee attacker that doesn't have a lot of health. Now normally you can't really fit him in spots because he can't really tank, and then he can't attack if he's not in the front row. But then being able to have him in the back row using his double strike and all of his damage is a good option as well. So sometimes just fitting some of those higher attack characters that normally wouldn't be able to use all of those attacks and get them in the battlefield as well. So that's kind of a quick overview of what I like to do in Equal Opportunity. It's always going to vary based on the other rules, based on the splinters you have, all the other restrictions based on scouting your opponent, that type of thing. There's always so much to consider, but hopefully this has given you guys some things to think about and can help you go up against this rule set and get a few more wins than you were before. So thank you guys so much. There's going to be a bunch more of these coming. Stay tuned. I'll see you around.